Hi guys, this is Donna from Donna's Creative Space. Today I don't have a card video for you, but the video I do have is using some handy items in your craft room that normally you might not find in your craft room. So today I'll start with this little votive cup. You may have seen me use it in some of my videos. This I've had forever. It's been sitting in my cabinet in the dining room, and I pulled it out because this is the perfect thing to put my liquid glue in. That way all the glue is down towards the point, and it's nice. It's you know, heavy enough that I don't knock it over, and it can just sit off to the side. So you've probably seen that. Now another thing are coffee filters, and you've probably seen this, just like a lot of these tips and little items I might be telling you about. You've probably seen them, other people using them too. But like, what about when you're using your embossing powder after you've put it on your card and you have to brush it into something? Well, use one of these coffee filters. I don't even have one of these coffee makers that take these anymore, so you get so many in a package. And then when you're done, you just take your coffee filter and pour that right back in. Get it to one of the grooves. And there you go. And then you just throw this away. How's that? Cool. Another thing I do with those coffee filters is I'll take, you know, a few, and I'll fold them like this and like this. And then I'll just take my scissors and cut off the top portion and create like this little tray. So like this. These are those new, oh gosh, what were they called? These were the Flowers for Every Season gems. And you know, this could make a mess on my craft table, but with these little cut down, it's not too tall, like the regular size of the coffee filter, but that's a great way of having them at my fingertips, and they won't go all over my workspace. Now, another thing I use a lot in my craft room is my Brother P-Touch label maker. And it sounds like, yeah, of course you use that, Donna, but I use it to make all the labels for my bins, for my dimensionals, my tear and tape embellishments, everything that I have. I take it off. I use different fonts. Here's one that I made for my magnetic plate. Magnetic little like platform here for my dies. So you'll see this later on in the video, how I use my magnetic plate. Washi tape, you probably have that in your craft room, but did you know you could use it to hold together some dies so that when you put it through the machine, you won't have to do them separate? Isn't that cool? Just put a couple of pieces on the back of the die and run it through, and there you have it. So that's cool too, right? So let's see, let me clear this away and I'll get to some other things. And I hope you enjoy some of these tips. I thought it was kind of a cool video to show you guys. Okay, so for my next tip of using household things, and you know, things that you would normally think would be in your craft room, are these vent covers. These are magnetic vent covers, and you get them at your local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. But what they come, these that I bought are 8 inches wide by 15 inches long, and so you can get quite a few, excuse me, of your die cut mounted on these. So they come in this particular pack. I got a 3-pack, and you can see they're rather flimsy, but that's okay because since they are thin, you can cut them to size. So what I do, this is what I do. I measured this, and I want to go a little shy on the measurement. So when I've cut a piece of cardboard. Now this cardboard is just what comes behind your 12 by 12 paper. So you can use any kind of cardboard, but I've cut this down to 5 by 7, and I kind of went a little shyer than 5. See, like an 1/8 inch less. So now I'm going to cut my magnetic sheet the same measurement. However, you don't want to use, oops, oh, I'm sorry. I went and hit the camera, so I shook all you guys. So I don't want to use my blade that I use for cutting paper. So if you have one of these, Stampin' Up, you just find this little ridge here, and that's where it comes on and off. Now I keep a separate blade just for cutting magnetic sheets. And see, there's my scribbling that I label it. Because these, when you buy these replacement blades, they come in a 4-pack. So I just use one for cutting the magnetic sheets. So I'm going to take off my good one and set it to the side. And I'll put on my cutting one. And let me see if I can zoom in so you can see how I do this. I'm going to, do you see this ridge here? Let's see, maybe if I put something under it. There's a little ridge right there, a little slot, I should say. It's a little wider. You take your blade and you kind of go in at an angle, just like that. And it just falls in. Okay, so now let me go back out. And now you just cut your sheet. So I'm going to cut it by 5. And I went a little shy, so I'm going to go in 4 7/8. All right, so I put this in, and I'm going to put my scoring blade up the top, and I'm just going to slice this. See how easy that was? Now I know that this is, I measured 7 inches, so I'm going to open my arm here, and I'm going to put this at 7 inches, and I'm going to slice that, just like that. See? And now I have my sheet. So let me just close this up. Now I'm not cutting any more today, so I'm going to right away, because I don't want to use this blade, I'm going to bring it down to that slot and just tip it at an angle, and it comes off. And now I can put this back in here. Right? And I set that aside. And I'm going to put my other blade back on, so I'm ready, ready to cut for the next time. So what I do is I take some liquid glue, and I take my liquid glue, and I'm just gonna put some on. You may be able to use like a heavy tape. I haven't tried it with my tear and tape. I just think that the liquid glue seems to work best. And then let me make sure I'm on the screen. I forget to stay in the middle here. And then I mount my magnetic sheet. And if it's off a hair, I don't really care. And any glue that comes out the side, just wipe off so it's not on the magnetic. And that's it. So now I'm going to set this off to the side to dry a bit just for a second while I talk to you about another use I use. This is one of these regular, I don't know what they call them. I think it's just to hold like recipe cards or something if you're cooking in the kitchen. So I wanted to put these in here, right? So I had to make it a little bit heavier on mine. It just depends on what shape or what thickness your magnetic sheet is. So I had to add a little piece of cardboard here. I think when I first started using these in my card classes, because when I had a card class and I needed to display a card for each group that was working on it, so that's where the cardboard came in. The cards needed a little bit more substantial, what is that word? Substance to hang on to. But normally this little ball here is supposed to hold it in. So I have these with the cardboard already there. But what I do is when I'm working on my Big Shot, let's see, let me get this in. I put this next to my Big Shot when I'm doing some cutting, because I'll go and use a die, and I know I'm going to cut something else, but I don't want to forget about this one, so I will just throw it back on here, and I literally throw it and stay there. That way I know all my pieces are together, and that's what I did at card classes. I put this next to the Big Shots so everybody had the dies that they needed to cut with. So I want to show you that, but now I have my thing. And this is probably still not dry because we did put a good amount of glue on there. But now I can take my dies, and sometimes they get a little bit warped because, oh, I see a little bit of glue sticking out there. But I'm going to put, and if you don't have this, I know I say it every time, but if you don't have this Stitch So Sweetly die set, I would get it, because, oh look, see, I'm trying to put, I take a Sharpie marker. I don't know if you can see the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I number them because as I'm designing cards, or especially if I'm doing a card class, I'll write down what number I used. That way, like these are different shapes, so I really don't need to label these. But all my, like my circle dies and my squared, my rectangle dies. But this is such a cute set that, and these rectangles, in fact, I have another one of these on order, because when I cut for card class, now I can throw this away. When I cut for card class, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to have 2 of everything. So I have one of these on order. All right, so now what I do is I stick these back in, but when I put them in, I put them with the dies away from the side that clips, because sometimes you get stuck on the die. And then I put this back here, just like so. So now I have the exact name of it, and I have the number of it, and they're my dies. So these magnetic vent covers work great. It's really just, you know, save your scrap cardboard for the backing, and you can cut these to whatever, now whatever size you need. Now I'll take this last piece, and I may just cut a piece of cardboard and use all my pieces. It doesn't matter if it has, I'll just glue it on, and I'll just have a whole set of them. So that's another useful item in your home, or that you can get in a regular hardware store that you can use in your craft room. Next up is, or are, baby wipes. And I'm sure you all know that you should use stamp cleaner. Let's see, here's Stampin' Up's Stampin' Mist that I use on my scrubber. Right? You spray one side. They have a little raindrop there and a little sunshine there, so you know which side's which, but I went and put a label on my sides. So when you do stamp your, and this is from, I'll show you, this is a pretty stamp set. This is Gorgeous Posy. It's part of a kit. It's really cute. But so if you, once you stamp, and you can clean it on here, but we all know that sometimes we are in a rush, and we may at the moment not know where our chamois might be. So if you have stamped, and a quick cleanup is, of course, baby wipes. Here's another use for them. I've just taken this case that I had laying around. I put a pile of baby wipes in here, and I want to show you something cool to do with them. You just take your re-inkers. I'm using Highland Heather, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops here and there. And then I will put, this is So Saffron. I just happened to pull out my box of subtles. I keep them all together. So that was So Saffron, Highland Heather, and now I'm using Blushing Bride. Let me see, I hope I'm inside the image. I'm just going to put a few drops, right? Just like so. And it just soaks all together. But check this out. So this was just straight stamping with the Highland Heather. So now I'm going to stamp right in here. Watch this. Isn't that cool? So I've got another layer of it. And you can just make your stamp really kind of cool. Isn't that pretty? Nice and subtle, and you can change the look of a stamp set that you already have. So that is the use of baby wipes. Next on the list are these little baskets that I got at Dollar Tree. I think I got 3 for $1, and they're kind of flimsy, I mean, 3 for $1, 33 cents each. But that's great because look, I'm in the process of cutting and sorting for my holiday card class. So put all my bows in one. I've got all these moose punches in another. And look, when I'm working at my station here, I can use it as a trash barrel. So they're really, for 3 for $1, they're a great deal. And okay, your ordinary nail file. Right? Well, sometimes you get this little rough edge. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but having a nail file handy can just take away that edge. See, I'm not sure you can see that. See right there? See? So just take my nail file and it's gone. So any little pieces that may have popped up while you were cutting, just keep a nail file handy and there you have it. Next is a Sharpie. So I always keep a Sharpie in with my Stampin' Stuff because I have this kind of cool technique that I do for tying a knot on a card. Now this is just a scrap piece of card that I was playing around with, but I'm going to show you. You take your ribbon, right? You tie it once, twice around your Sharpie, just like so. Nice and tight. And the reason I use a Sharpie is because there's nothing on one end and it slides right off. So now you have this cute loop, right? Like I said, this isn't a real card. I'm just kind of showing you. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the side of the back. And look at this. I'm going to just wrap it around from here to here. Just like that. Right? Now, see the loop? You take your scissors, and there they are, and you add an angle. You cut at an angle, just like so. Look at that. You pull it out, and you have this cute little knot. I did it on the white so you could see. Isn't that a cool trick? That's with the Sharpie. Okay, the next item is a binding clip. Binder clip. So, these are our sponges. So you've probably seen me do this before where you can get, I think 3 of these sponges for, gosh, maybe $3, $4, but I cut them into 6, right? So, you have a choice. You can take this binding clip and you have an instant handle, right? So that you can, show you, open my, this is Pretty Peacock. I have a label punch here, the everyday label. So you can use this and you can just hold your sponge like this. And then you can turn around and wash this, right? But another thing to do if you don't want to use your everyday binder clip is, this is what I like to do. I take one of my punches. This is the everyday label punch. I punch whatever color I want to make the sponge. I fold it in half, like so. I put it around that wedge, and then I give it a little staple. And then I can store it just like this in a case, and I know that I used this before for this Pretty Peacock. So either way, using the binding clip or not, but I just think the binding clip is a great way to handle it. Now, just so you know, when you're done with these, when this gets a little ratty, just peel off this paper and undo the staple and wash your sponge, and you can set it up and reuse it again. But that's my binding clip. Okay, next on the list is a plastic spoon. I keep a plastic spoon in my craft box just for re-inking my ink pad. So here I have my Pretty Peacock ink pad, and I have my re-inker, which if you don't buy the re-inkers, you should. It's great. It's nothing worse than being in the middle of a project and your ink starts coming out dull or dry in spots. So just purchase these ink refills, and that way you have it to re-ink your stamps. And what I do is I put it on, squeeze it at an angle, and just like so. But this is the best part. Use the back of a plastic spoon and you just smooth it back and forth like that. Smooth it around. That way the ink goes in evenly. And then when I'm done, I just take a napkin or paper towel or a baby wipe and just wipe the spoon off, and it's ready for the next time. So isn't that a great tip? One of the last things that I have in this video anyway, there's plenty more things that you use in your craft room, but are post-it notes in different sizes. Like these square ones that are lined. I like to, when I design a card, I like to keep track of what I used. And I just put that on the back of the card, and that way if I go to make that card again, I have everything I need. So that's one way, but that's using it as a post-it note, so that's not anything different. But so here, I have, a couple different sizes. I'm going to show you, let's say you have a punch, and you stamp something. I'm going to use this Get Well Soon, right? This stamp, it's really cute. This is out of the Gorgeous Posies. Let me see if I get that in the image. You see that? It's a really cute stamp. So let's say you want to punch this out with a 1.5 inch punch and you're like, oh gosh, I just can't get that in there very well. Well, take a post-it note, whether you need a larger one or the small one. I think for this, I just need a small one. And I'll put it on the side just like that. And it kind of gives me a handle. So now I can slip it in my punch. I move it along, I get it centered, and punch. So it basically has created a handle for me, and you can just keep using it until the sticky stuff is gone. Let's say you just wanted the Get Well. So we can just put the post-it note on the bottom of our paper and just kind of aim it just like that. Right? And then just take off the soon. And then we have the Get Well. Then we can again, oops, use this side, stick it down, go in with my little handle, and see how I have a little bit of post note. That'll just pull off, but there we go. Just cut it. Whoops, it went flying. And then this just, of course, comes off. And then you have the Get Well. So using it as a handle works really great. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. There's my blog site, donnascreativespace.com. Hope you'll visit me sometime and follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and my blog. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.